Hey, it's Mark. 30 miles, trikes and bikes, back on the trike. I've put out a couple of gravel bike videos the last couple weeks, trying to get my body in shape for two-wheel riding, because I was off of it for so long. At the Tater Recumbent rally, and also the riding preparation for that. And pretty happy with how the gravel bike progress is going. But I took a look at the calendar before I left to go on this ride, and I have not been on my trike since July 2nd. It's now July 25th. So really excited to get back on. I think that's about the same for anything in life. When you do stuff a lot, you may tend to get burned out or bored with it, even stuff you like. And then when you're away from it a while, you miss it. So this is kind of cool to be this pumped up to go for a ride. The ride destination is not the point of this video. I've been out here before, made videos. This is Killens Pond State Park. But I just picked this as a local ride for a chance to ride and talk. And talk about Tater Tot, some of the things I learned, some of the things we experienced. Some of it has to do with cross-country travel, just in general, how cool and big and beautiful this country is. Because we covered almost all of it. We didn't make it all the way to the west coast. We stopped in Idaho, and where we were at Coeur d'Alene and Kellogg, pretty close to Oregon. So we're gonna call it a cross-country trip. I'm a beginning YouTuber, so that's what some of this talk is going to be about. What I experienced, what I'm learning. So let's get into it. We left at like 3:45 in the morning to head out. We had a route mapped out where we would take one day off the road each day to sightsee, and also for me to get some riding in. And one thing I can say is, you could say we had a checklist, or however you want to put that, of things we wanted to do, and it was very remarkable. We hit every single one of them. Just very grateful to God for what He allowed us to experience. And most of this is on video. You can go check it out. First stop was in Zenia, Ohio. By watching this video, more than likely you are a trike enthusiast and know about the Cyclocon Recumbent rally. And it did not happen this year, but we attended it last year. And that's how we learned about how Zenia, Ohio is hub to many, many hundreds of miles of trails. So that's why that was a destination for us for our first stop. I think that was about 8-9 hours from home. And we had some weather dramas that day. It was misty rain. And It was a passable day to ride. If I was at home, just riding in some mundane place, I probably would have taken the day off, but we only had that one day out there, so I went out and rode and had a great time. I was on the Creekside Trail into Zenia Station, and then I pressed on the Little Miami Trail south. Spring Valley, I think, was how far I went. I think we had a 34-mile ride that day. It was 17 miles out. I even saw some sun. The trail was damp in spots. So I stopped at Zenia Station for my final pit stop. Have a power bar. Had 8 miles to go to get back to, oh boy, Beaver Creek. Yeah, I did remember it. Beaver Creek Station. And all wrath and fury opened up from the skies, and I got drenched in that last 8 miles. And later on that afternoon, all the rain was gone and the sun popped out, so timing is everything. But no complaints. Able to get a ride in, lengthy ride. Really enjoy that trail. So that was Zenia. I got a vehicle behind me, so if I pause, just keeping my eyes open. Seems like he's gonna hold up behind me, which is okay. Alright, get away from him. Continue on back poolside here at Killens Pond. I'm sure this water park was packed today. I waited till after 6 because that's when it closes. Plus it was blistering hot today. I know I talked in a lot of my early spring riding videos what a nice spring we had with that humidity, and now it's here full blast, mid 90s. I'm sure the heat index is over 100. Yeah, pool is pretty well emptied out. That's cool. We got the parking lot all to ourselves. And I was talking about the high heat index. One of the good things about Killens Pond is a good bit of this park is in shade. So it makes it a little bit more bearable when it is later in the day. So it's pretty heavy. The air is not friendly, but it's rideable. So we did Zenia and we pressed on. Our next stop was in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And the riding spot was the Cedar Rapids Nature Trail. Another epic trail. I think 52 miles or somewhere in that area in length. That day it was very hot out there, so I think I kept it to 25 miles. But again, we have nothing like that around here to be able just to get on a trail and go for miles on end. And the weather that day was primo. No worries whatsoever. And as you would expect in Iowa, rolling farmlands and cornfields. And the section of trail that I was on was designated a wildlife preserve, so you hear nothing out there but sounds of birds singing, things like that. Very peaceful and enjoyable. So we started out 2 for 2 in riding destinations. The next stop after that was Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and riding there was kind of a bonus. Our main thing was just see the falls there and the park, and I found a video that showed that there was a bike loop there, really nice one, so I was pretty pumped to get another good ride in. And the only problem there was I got to about 4 miles into the trail and it was really nice, but there was a bridge that was closed. I don't know how much of the trail that cut off. There was supposed to be a detour, and I'm sure the locals knew how to work it, but it didn't work for me. I never could find the rest of the trail, so some of my riding was wandering around different neighborhoods in Sioux Falls. I had no idea where I was going. That was a little bit frustrating. So that was the closest thing we had, Sioux Falls, the closest thing we had to a fail. And I wouldn't even call that a fail because we got to see the falls and take some pictures. My wife got to go for a nice trail walk. And the little bit of trail I did, and trying to find my way around. Trying to find my way around the detour. I still got an hour of riding in, so all was not lost. So after that, our next stops, I should say, didn't include any scheduled riding but other activities. And Mount Rushmore was our next stop, and we got to enjoy the full experience there. Just really cool, the history behind it. And they have a I think they call it a sculpture center, and there's a park employee there that knows the story of how the whole thing was done, which I find utterly amazing, how they could carve that in the side of that mountain. And she told the story really well. So that was super enjoyable. Something I had never seen before. My wife is an immigrant from France, and she had been there. She came here to work as a nanny. And she had been to Mount Rushmore. Sorry about the shaky camera. Had to adjust the mirror and shift gears all at the same time. Try not to run off the road. She had come here as a nanny like 35 years ago and had seen Mount Rushmore. So that was kind of nostalgic for her to get back there. So after that, oh, the other thing we did in South Dakota, before I get ahead of myself, you saw the Corn Palace. I had no idea what that was, but it's a big building decorated on the outside, and it's all made with corn. Pretty cool place. And it's actually a sports arena on the inside for the local college and high school basketball. So Billings, Montana was next up. Again, no riding scheduled there. Wanted to some for, so you're going to be at Tater Top for almost a week. Puffing and puffing today. It's heat. And our drama, we had, for the amount of miles we did, I think we did 5,000 miles total round trip. No car dramas whatsoever, so I was very grateful for. Getting ready to make this turn here. Make sure there's no cars coming. You got to do some more gear shifting. All right. Turns out Billings actually had a pretty nice trail near where we stayed. Swords, I can't remember, something Swords Park. And we did go out for a walk out there. Oh, I forgot the car drama. No mechanicals, but I pushed the limit too far on gas because I totally underestimated how few gas stations there were out there on the part of I-90 that we were on. We rolled into Billings with 12 miles on the meter left in the tank. So that was kind of sporty. Yes, I was sweating profusely. Thankful to God we made it. And like I said, Billings did have a place I could have ridden. Quite mountainous, and part of the trail had a pretty sheer cliff exposure. I am not hike friendly, so I'm not sure I would have ridden that. We did go walk out there, and my stomach was turning flip-flops on that particular part of the trail. Looks like we're going to have Lake Forest High School all to ourselves. And cruising through there, which is cool because when it's full and busy, sometimes I have to bypass it because people don't look when they're backing out of parking spaces. So we had a nice walk at Billings and looked at the really spectacular mountainside scenery, and that was the last stop before Kellogg. So we rolled into Kellogg, and man, was that exciting. Seeing that hotel full of Trike people, all different kinds of Trikes. The room was comfortable and nice. There was actually some kind of mess up with our original room. It wasn't clean and ready. We actually ended up getting a bigger one. When you're traveling with a Trike and you want to keep it inside, that is no small blessing. I was happy with that. We got there on Saturday, and sometime during the night somebody pulled up a out and back to Bull Run from Kellogg. Round trip on that turned out to be a tick under 40 miles. I got the group riding experience, which I told you before we left, which is a big point of what it was all about, because I ride by myself. There's not a lot of Trikers around here. So to be able to go out with, looked like maybe 20 people, 20 to 30 people, was really fun. I got to talk with Matt Galat from Gio Nation and Sylvia Halpern, Travels by Trike. They are two of the Trikers that helped inspire me to do recumbent trike riding and vlogging. So that was really cool to meet them in person. Very nice people. And then just a lot of other interesting trike people. I rode with one guy. I can't remember his whole story, but I think now he lives out west. He actually did his college right here in Delaware. So he knew my home stomping grounds pretty well. That was kind of cool. And I talked with a couple of other ladies who were pretty experienced travelers and trikers. Got one of them on my first video. I have that ride, that Bull Run ride is on the channel if you want to check it out. And one of my other goals for the ride, remember I told you our check boxes, we hit all of them, was to get my wife on a trike. And Dan Zimmerman was there from Spokes Fighting Strokes, and he carries like a 26-foot trailer full of trikes. And does seminars with people with disabilities and to show them what's possible, what they can do. Really, really cool what he does. And he was generous enough to, I had told him that my wife was in good shape. She's a walker. She likes to walk for fitness. She's not a cyclist. And he offered to let her try out one of his trikes. This is another thing. I still have to document. I put up a video about it, but this girl's never ridden a trike and is not a cyclist and went 22 miles on a non-motorized trike. I think that's pretty impressive. And it was just fun to have her out there with me. And one of the reasons she went so far is that the direction we went on the trail, first couple miles is out by the highway, kind of industrial, so not very scenic. And as we went further, we were going in the same direction as towards Bull Run. She obviously the scenery kind of made her forget about how far out we were, and she did die out a little bit in the last 3 miles on a return trip, but considering all the circumstances there, she did really well. So like I said, that was, for me, you know, we actually both had a good time when I was doing my riding. She went out and found scenic places to hike and walk, and that was good, but I wanted to get that experience together with her, and really worked out. So thanks to Dan for that. The next day, the ride was from, let me think now, from Harrison to Plummer, which is one of the more scenic part. I mean, it's all scenic, but Harrison to Plummer is pretty spectacular around Lake Coeur d'Alene. And all these rides I have on the video, like I said, if you want to go check them out. So Harrison's about almost an hour drive from the hotel, but it was well worth it. There's this really cool bridge, which I can't pronounce the name, but you ride across, and it has a stair step feature as you reach the peak and get to the bridge on both sides. So there were some people that said they actually got air on the downhill slopes. I was riding with the camera and the selfie sticks. I just got hit with a plug. I don't know if you heard that or not. So riding one-handed, I did keep the speed down a little bit. but still went fast enough to have fun with it. But the whole point of going over that bridge is the lake view. How beautiful that is. And from the bridge to Plummer, it's a 3% climb for like 5 miles. Doesn't sound like much, and being so gradual like that doesn't necessarily have a visual of a big climb, but I was feeling it. It was pretty hot, and there is a Coeur d'Alene, I think, tribes that served in the military. There's a memorial there where I turned around and found a nice shady spot, went in the bathroom and doused my face with water and got some nice cold water to drink, and I almost fell asleep. And it's kind of noisy out here, so we will continue this story after the turnaround. Alright, so we were talking about a 3% climb to Plummer. My turnaround, I got really refreshed. Almost too refreshed. I almost fell asleep. Kicked back in the shade in my trike seat. But we got turned around. I was a little concerned at that point because I was getting pretty hot and tired. I had, still was only at the halfway point. But what I didn't calculate is the fact that that 3% climb on the way out would become a 3% descent on the way back. And I have never had so much fun on a trike as I did on that 5-mile descent. There's a few gentle curves and all that. I didn't record it because I wanted 2 hands to ride, and I didn't have any other mounts with me. So maybe another year when we're out there, we'll get that kind of thing. But yeah, that made the return trip spectacular. And turned out I was feeling okay. I had enough food and energy bars and water to stay hydrated, so I didn't bunk, which was good. And enjoyed there's a lot of rock formations, flowers, and obviously the lake. Just incredible scenery. So Harrison to Plummer, Plummer to Harrison. Also documented some of it. Check that out. And my final ride, by the time we got to Wednesday, I was cooked. And I didn't feel like rushing to meet a start time with a group. So I just planned a solo ride to Wallace from Kellogg, which is about 11 miles. It does run close to the highway, so you get a little bit of traffic noise, but it's more than that. Drawback is more than made up for with the scenery, the mountains, and the stream that runs next to the trail. It's really beautiful. And then when I got to Wallace, just a really cool old historic town. And later that night, after I was done with the ride, got cleaned up and drove out there with my wife. We enjoyed the town, walking around on the sidewalks and taking pictures. Had a nice dinner. Just another good day out there. And our final day, no riding scheduled, just a day for me to be with my wife, for us to be together, and we did a driving trip because she heard all about the bridge to Plummer and she wanted to see it. And she also had the goal of seeing a moose, and she hadn't seen one on the trail. So we heard that Metamont was a hot spot for seeing moose. So that's where we went, and she had a real eagle eye, because we were out on the trail there, and this moose was really camouflaged, but she saw it, and that was the whole point of going out there. So we just took as much time as we needed to watch him working his way through the woods, and finally he walked away. And then we went to find the bridge, which is easily accessible by trail. Driving's a little bit more of a challenge. There's some really treacherous, curvy, out of the way mountain roads with some really sharp drop-offs, which are not my favorite. But we found it, and my wife really, she's in good shape. I'm not too crazy about heights. I rode across the bridge and didn't stop. I walked her up to the edge of it. She walked the whole thing out and back. Really enjoyed that. So again, another checkbox that we got done. So the whole trip was a success. And on the way back, we had a little bit more grueling driving schedule. We didn't have whole days off the road like we did on the way out, but we broke it up in enough segments that it wasn't too bad. But we did leave time to stop in Indiana. We're Indy 500 fans, and they just recently redid the museum there. So we wanted to go see that, and we did. And we stayed in Richmond, Indiana, which is almost in Ohio. And right near there is the Cardinal Greenway. Which is another 50+ mile trail. And I found a really nice trailhead to start from. And I think that ride ended up being 26 miles out and back. Very similar to Iowa. Rolling farmland, silos and barns, and just really, really peaceful out there. And my final rest stop, final ride, I just sat at a bench and listened to the peaceful sounds, birds singing, that type of thing, and just reflected back on a great trip. So all those rides are documented. If you like to go to the channel, Moody Miles, Trikes, and Bikes. We're going to finish up now. Hope you enjoyed that travel log. It really was a great trip, and it was fun to recount it with you. Enjoy just a few more riding scenes as I contemplate what's next. And please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Ring that notification bell so you'll know when new videos are uploaded. And we will see you in the next one.